for those of you out there who may be looking to homeschool for the first time this year, it is great to plan those breaks into your school year. It gives your kids something to look forward to. I mean, when we homeschool, we really do believe that the world is our classroom. And so wherever you go, like Abbie said, life is a learning experience. Hi, you're listening to the Zan Tyler podcast. This podcast is brought to you by BJU Press Homeschool. Homeschooling is an exciting adventure we take with our children. One of the most challenging parts of this journey is choosing the curriculum you want to use. BJU Press Homeschool is a curriculum you can trust. All the books, resources, and videos have been designed with you and your child in mind. Their curriculum is educationally robust and rich, taking into account that children have different learning styles, strengths, and needs. Mom, you are in charge. BJU Press Homeschool is here to come alongside and support you. Do you need help with the teaching load, or is there a subject you just don't want to teach? Their amazing video courses are available for all grades and almost every subject. BJU Press Homeschool believes that homeschooling can produce a new generation of students who know God, love their neighbors, and stand firm in their faith. For more information, go to bjupresshomeschool.com. That's bjupresshomeschool.com. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Zan Tyler podcast. Let me take just a minute to ask you to please subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen. And if this podcast has been encouraging to you, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. That really helps us. We're also available on YouTube, and be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. I think you're really going to enjoy my conversation with Abbie Knott today. Abbie is a homeschool mom of 4 and has been homeschooling for 8 years. We're going to discuss everything from using videos for instructional purposes to the realization that for the homeschool family, the world really is our classroom. As an added bonus, we're also talking about developing an entrepreneurial spirit in each of your children. So stay tuned. I think you're really going to be encouraged. Welcome, Abbie. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
So Joe and I interviewed Abbie and her husband, Mike, for our Homeworks online party that was back in April. And Joe said, man, Abbie is awesome. You need to have her on the podcast. And I said, yes, I don't know why we haven't done this before. So that is great. So Abbie, tell me a little bit about your homeschooling journey, how long you and Mike have been homeschooling and how you got into it.
All right. So I have been homeschooling our children. We have 4 children, and our oldest one we started with K4 back in 2013. So it has been, we're going into our 10th year homeschooling now. She's wrapping up 8th grade.
Isn't it amazing how time flies?
It is. I can't believe it.
She's wrapping up 8th grade. She'll be in high school this year.
She will be.
Oh man, that's a big thing.
It is. It's very cool.
It's funny because so many people quit homeschooling when they get to the high school years, and I want to say, man, that's when they become the greatest people, and all your work is starting to pay off, and they're your friends and they're fun. Why would you send them off then?
It's 9th grade. It's definitely scary a little bit just because of all the requirements that you have to do. So it's a lot more work for me as far as like making sure I'm getting all the requirements, but I am so excited for it.
It's funny because the way one mom expressed it to me, it's like until through 8th grade, it's not that it's just for fun, but there's a lot of fun to it. But in the 9th grade, you feel like you're going to have people looking at those transcripts, and it seems so like it's all the marbles or something, but I know how much you love your kids. And I finally, after the first year of high school, I learned to relax a little bit and bring some of our fun, back into homeschooling. So Abbie, you don't know this story, but when I started homeschooling Ty, it was in the early 1990s, and there's just nothing for high school, and there are no co-ops, and I think maybe BJU Press had that homeschool sat link thing. I could not do that. Joe was on the road. I could not do that. And Lizzie was starting 1st grade, so I was needing to teach her how to read. And John was in the 7th grade. Ty was in the 9th grade. I thought, I can't do first grade, middle school, and high school. So I looked at John, who was in a seventh grader, and I said, I now pronounce you a ninth grader. So, bless his heart, he rose to the occasion and did great. We finished high school with him when he was in the 10th grade. So we had 2 great years of internships and fun courses, and it was fabulous. And
Nice.
but there's something, so I was so scared of high school. And but you've got some tips, I know.
So I was actually homeschooled myself growing up, from kindergarten through ninth grade. And 10th through 12th grade, I and all 5 of my siblings went to our local public school. But my parents chose to homeschool us just because, well, I talked to my mom just to make sure I had the right reasoning. I was pretty sure I did, and I did. But she said that when I was born, she looked into my face and realized she could not sacrifice me to the public school system. So
Interesting.
she wanted to be the main influence. Like, she wanted her and my dad to be the main influence in our lives, and also they knew they could give us a solid education. She did have a degree for elementary education. She had graduated from Baptist Bible College, and she taught for a year at a Christian school near us. So
Oh, that's interesting. So, how did you feel about, did you homeschool all the way through then?
no, we went to public school starting in 10th grade.
Oh,
They
okay.
they did want to give us a little bit of a taste as far as like what it's like to not be homeschooled.
Right. Yes.
And
Well, it was still pretty unusual then to be homeschooled when you were being homeschooled. So, how did you like your homeschooling experience?
I really enjoyed it. I did very well with homeschool. Um, I was a bit of a stubborn kid, so I was not always compliant with what my parents asked me to do, but I did really well with school itself. I enjoyed completing the tasks, and I would sit down and do my work. My mom used multiple curriculums because she viewed the curriculum as a tool, not as
Right.
like the be all and end all. So
Right.
she would get different curriculums from year to year, and she would teach us, and then we would just do the work in the book. It was not the curriculum teaching us. So
Right, right. So, how did you and Mike end up homeschooling? Was it because you had been homeschooled and wanted to do the same thing for your children?
we started discussing it probably right after we got married, what we would do. And he was originally on the fence. He hadn't met many homeschoolers, and he had gone to public school and Christian school.
Okay.
And he was like, well, I'm not sending my kids to public school, so we'll do Christian school. I was like, well, why don't we homeschool them? I would really like to homeschool. And he's like, well, we can homeschool for a few years. And then he really liked it. He's like, we can homeschool a few more years. And now we're in 8th grade and not sending them to school at any
So,
point here.
well, I am so glad you persevered with Mike because you are both such a blessing to the homeschool community. We're going to talk about some of the things you're involved in at the end of the podcast, but um, Mike is the director of homeworks by Precept, and at homeschool division, and he is just amazing. He has so much vision, and I know he caught that vision from you. So that's good job.
Thanks.
What do you think, it was easier for you to homeschool because you were a second generation homeschooler?
I believe it was. Um, for me, there was really no guesswork. I didn't have to look up what homeschool laws were because I I had grown up with them and nothing really had changed. They had actually gotten less stringent in
Mm-hmm.
Pennsylvania. So for me, it was like, oh, yeah, we do this. We have to do this. We have to do this. But it was not a big deal. I didn't have to do much research as far as that was concerned.
When I started homeschooling, I just would, I mean, almost had panic attacks as it got closer to the first day of homeschooling because we'd gone through all this legal stuff. And the only thing I'd really read was Dr. Moore's book, Homegrown Kids. And so somehow I just had no help, and I had not been an education major like you. I was an economics major, and I never wanted to teach. And I just panicked the closer I got to that first day of school. Like, what am I going to do? What am I supposed to do? What is this supposed to look like? So, did you still have any of those fears when you started? Like, can I handle this?
No. Um,
Good.
But that's more my personality. If I decide to do something, I research it to no end
Mm-hmm.
before I start. So I already knew. And the other thing was, Mike and I had discussed, because he had already worked for Precept. He was their IT director. And his compromise was, well, if we're going to homeschool, you're not a teacher. So can you use the video courses? So I looked and I was like, hey, this looks great. I can still be there. I can still help my kids, but I'm not the one having to put the lesson plans together. So for me, that was super helpful. So
Okay, so let's just for the moms and dads who are listening. So the videos that Abbie is talking about are videos that are produced by BJU Press Homeschool. So Abbie, since you mentioned that, let's talk about that for a few minutes because I know people have a lot of questions about videos. For those of you who don't know, BJU Press videos, homeschool videos, are really K4 through grade 12, almost every subject. So having said that, Abbie, just tell us a little bit about the videos and what you like about using them, how you use them in your homeschool.
sure, absolutely. So the video courses are pre-recorded, and you have a teacher, a certified teacher, that basically comes into your home and takes care of your entire year's worth of education for your student. They are every subject, it's individual subjects, so it's not like one day's worth of classes all at once. So you can make it work for you rather than, again, it being the master and you just following along. So it's not like cyber school where you have to log on for a certain time. They are just pre-recorded videos there for your use. It's a tool. They include all the books that you would need. So for us, we get a full grade kit, but there are people out there that they would only use a few of the video courses and then they can just purchase the subjects that they would teach. It's just
Okay,
another
so
assistant.
what is a full grade kit?
A full grade kit is just every subject you need. It
Okay, and
varies based on grade.
okay, and people can get that either with books or with the videos or both.
Yes.
I recently went through a tour of the studios at BJU Press Homeschool. I was so amazed and flabbergasted by how much time each teacher puts into each course. These are done, as Abbie said, specifically for homeschoolers, homeschooling families, and they may be 15 minutes a segment for a subject, depending on the age, or 30 minutes when the kid gets into high school. But they're really well done videos. The teacher spends a year putting each class together.
My kids love the segments. And what the segments are is, depending on the course, they'll have either a cartoon or they have a special character that comes in. You can actually see all of the segments. Like there are clips of the segments on the BJU Press Homeschool YouTube channel. So I'm not going to explain all of them, but they're great little clips. Some of them are for vocabulary, some of them are in the science courses, some of them are even for math. So they're just fun segments that my kids really enjoy.
Like the puppets and stuff. It was just real fun to take this tour and find out how much creativity is in these. So, Abbie, let me ask you a few questions. Do you watch the videos with your children, or how does that work?
Most of the time, I do not. Having four kids, I would be bouncing around in our schoolroom all day.
Hmm.
Otherwise, if I watch them with them. So I don't. I just rely on the students themselves, my four kids, to be honest and tell me that they've completed. I do check their work because the videos still include books. So all their work is done in a book. So I can check and make sure they're completing lessons, make sure they're understanding concepts, but I don't need to sit there with them. If they do have a question, I can pull up the teacher's edition. It's
Hmm.
online for me, and I
Hmm.
can pull that up and read through and make sure that they understand the concept.
So you're still, even though you're using videos for the instruction, you're still really involved in your kids' school days.
Absolutely. I schedule everything out for them. I can choose which projects they do. If there are writing assignments or hands-on art project, craft project type things, I can choose which ones we're doing when we're doing them. I can assist with those kinds of things. But it really helps me to be more mom and less teacher.
So the benefit to you as a homeschool mom is
I keep my sanity. Because if I am homeschooling 4 kids and I'm trying to come up with the lessons for each of them and make sure I have everything planned out, I would not be able to maintain my home, cook my dinners, um, grocery shop.
You-
Just
Well,
there's
mhm,
not enough time in the day for me to do those types of things and still do fun activities with the kids. Because I just remember for me growing up, my mom had 5 of us that she homeschooled all at once. My youngest brother tailed on when I was 16 years old. So he was kind of by himself. So there were 5
mhm,
of us.
mhm.
And we were all involved in music lessons. And we called it was Monday Run Day. So we would pack
That's
up our
good. I like that. Monday
it,
run day. Yeah.
That's what it was. We would pack
Mhm.
up our school books, get in the car, and we were gone all day. Like we were just gone. Everyone had music lessons. We had to be here and then there and then back again. It was insanity. And I, that was all we got done on Mondays. And
Mhm.
it was a lot. And I only have 4 kids and we're only involved in a couple activities, but I want to have time to do some more fun things with them. So like we had an impromptu park day the other day. If I had so much work waiting for me at home because I spent so much time planning our school days, I
Mhm. Mhm.
I would something would have to give. And most likely because of responsibilities, the thing that would give was the fun stuff.
How do you make all of that work?
I use the Homeschool Hub, which is a feature that BJU Press is actually was released this past year. It is an all-in-one homeschool planning tool. It's online and it's available for all users of BJU Press. It is the platform where their online video courses are watched. It also is available for textbook users, but the big thing for me is the calendar. And it automatically assigns the courses to the calendar day and then I can readjust. I can add things in. I can add events in, field trips. So that I check that once or twice a month and I reschedule as needed based on what's coming up. So it allows me to be flexible in my days, but still keep a structured schedule without me having to erase everything over and over again.
Wow. Well, that sounds amazing. So is the hub really expensive?
The hub is actually included as part of your video course purchase, and it is free for textbook
Oh.
users.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's fabulous. Okay. So do the courses come, are they online or are they DVDs or what is the format?
We currently offer online video courses and DVDs.
Hmm.
The DVDs are a 13-month lease. The
Okay.
online videos, I would prefer those because I don't have to have so many DVDs floating around my house. It's a
Right.
20-month access for online too. So you have a much longer period of time for those DVDs or for the online than compared to the DVDs.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. So tell me this, we hear a lot now about screen time and kids being on their screens so much. So how does that play with your kids having video instruction throughout the day?
I don't count this as screen time for them, mostly because they're not sitting there passively watching a video.
Okay.
During the video, they are not just watching. They are supposed to be looking at their books. They're pausing the videos to read. They're doing book work, and it is an instructional video. It is not entertainment. They are
Okay.
entertaining videos, but they're not used for
Right.
entertainment.
Right. And I do want to get back to this thing about the different segments they put in. Sometimes they'll have like video clips from World War II or, is I was just blown away because of course there were not video courses much when my kids were coming through high school, my older boys. And we did use a video series for math. But I had been exposed to videos where it was the teacher teaching to a whole classroom of 30 students and it was long and it was drawn out and it was boring. I just was so blown away by how interesting for the child that
Yes.
these videos are. I have a extremely well educated niece who has used the BJU Press Homeschool videos, and she said, "I just like you." She said, "I just appreciate so much that they did all that work so I can spend my time doing other things with my kids." And Katie Morgan, who works with Ginger Hubbard on her podcast, when I was doing their podcast, she told me one time, she said, "I just don't know what I would do without those videos. They just make my life possible." And so we just all need to find what works for us and lean in. And it sounds like this has been a great solution for you and your family.
I mean, it's my kids love them. My son finished up. Gabriel is in second grade. He's 8. He is so good with math. Like he just it clicks. So he worked really far ahead, and he's already finished his math. And because we don't have to wait for scheduled classes, and he didn't have to have that classroom experience like what you were saying with the video. These
Hmm.
videos are filmed directly as if the student is sitting directly in front of the teacher, and he's the only one that is being spoken to. So he is finished with his second grade, and he has started his third grade math today because it came. So he was so excited, he just jumped right in.
Oh
So
man,
they love their videos.
that is amazing. That is really amazing. So I just want to talk about this planning thing for a minute because I was at a dinner a couple of months ago with some old friends, and we had homeschooled together, kind of coming up. And I remember Christy looked at me and said, I would not wish those planning days on any homeschool mom ever again. I mean, our planning could be torturous at times. And and then I was telling her about the videos and the hub and because we're having this roundtable discussion about what's available for moms now. And
Yeah.
it was just blowing our mind. But we were talking about the fact that if you have painless planning, then you can have happy homeschooling. It makes such a big
It
difference.
is it is a huge difference. We can do so. The hub allows me in Pennsylvania. You have to record 180 days of education. That includes co-op, field trips, anything like that. But I need 180 days of education, and I forget the minimum number of hours, but I mean it's a normal number of hours for school day. The hub allows me to just print out at the end of the year. It says, "Here's the number of school days you did." So
Wow.
I don't have to have a calendar going check, check, check,
Yeah,
counting
yeah,
my days up.
that is pretty amazing. So, all right, so tell me, so walk us through your school year a little bit. When, and how do you plan, and is Mike involved in that?
He orders the courses. I tell him
Okay,
what we need, he orders them. The part that he's really involved in is more of our field trips. So we camp as a family. And during our camping, we do not take our school books with us because the whole
okay,
point of camping is to get away and relax
right,
and do things
yes,
together.
yes.
But we still do educational days. So this past year, we toured multiple coal mines, coal museums. We toured our state capitol on a camping trip. We had never done that before because we always had smaller children, and
It
it was
just wasn't
not
really
worth it.
feasible. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So this past year we had a first grade, a second grade, a sixth grade, and an eighth grade. And it was the perfect year to do it. They all got to see it. They all got to like marvel at the ornate rooms that they had in the Capitol. And they all knew a little bit about the government because all 4 of them have now had heritage studies, like the community and civics and all that kind of stuff. So that was one of our field trips. And Mike plans those out. He looks at what's nearby. He's like, hey, we could check this out. And sure.
And let me just say, for those of you out there who may be looking to homeschool for the first time this year, or this is your first year, it is great to plan those breaks into your school year. It gives your kids something to look forward to. I mean, when we homeschool, we really do believe that the world is our classroom. And so wherever you go, like Abbie said, it, life is a learning experience. From my friends who camp, I've learned you learn so much together about camping, just about life, the things that go wrong and the things that go right. What is your most favorite camping trip y'all ever took?
We went to one of the Nova parks a few years ago. It's Northern Virginia, and
Hmm.
there are state parks, and each of them has a water park in it. It's really cool.
Wow, that's amazing.
I mean, they're small water parks, like they're massive pools, but there's like little water slides and all that kind of stuff. We thought it was great, and then we toured Mount Vernon and the Bible Museum.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so you just hit on two of my most favorite destinations ever. So we did Mount Vernon with the kids when they were younger. It is just amazing when you homeschool to be able to go out and see those historical venues, those historical places. Let your children walk through them. It's like living history. It's just one of the beauties of homeschooling. So, you do live in one of the most restrictive states in terms of homeschooling, and that's Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
I'm getting ready to go speak at the New York State Capitol Day next week, and they also have much more restrictive laws than
Yes.
most states. But for you, the hub has been a blessing, and the video courses have been a blessing,
Yes.
just in terms of that aspect of it.
Yes.
Mm.
It helps us with record keeping because at the end of every year, I need to have our students evaluated by a certified school teacher, either a public school teacher or a private school teacher in Pennsylvania that has had several years of teaching experience. They need to look at our portfolio, which is a compilation of their work completed throughout the year. And all we have to show is progress from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. But you still have to put together the work. So the fact that I have their books that come with the kits and not all the work is
Mhm.
done online, I have books so I can give them samples of work from that. I can also show them the record of grades. I just pull it up on the hub and I show them that. I can print their transcripts. I can print out their 180-day records, and I can print a calendar if I want. I just print the total report because there is a report section on the hub. So for me, that's a huge time saver.
Okay, for new homeschool moms and dads out there, I just want to reiterate that Pennsylvania and New York, there may be another state or two that do require that type of thing. Most states don't. Although many umbrella organizations supportive of homeschooling will often ask you to keep a portfolio or some type of records of what your children have learned and what they've done throughout the year. And I wish sometimes I wish I had kept more of what they did in school so that I could show that to them as they get older and they're homeschooling their kids. So it's really nice to have that, just to have a record of their educational journey.
My
So
mom gave me my portfolios.
did
I
she?
I have my third through ninth grade portfolios.
I bet that's kind of fun to
It
look back
is.
through, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really neat to have. So I show my kids. So we do save our portfolios. We take out some of the work because some they're like, but writing assignments, any
Mhm.
compositions that they've done in the lower grades, their drawings, any art stuff, anything they're really proud of, we keep. So
So Abbie, one thing that's unique to your family is how much Mike travels.
yes,
And my husband Joe traveled a lot while we were homeschooling. And so that's just an added stress really in your homeschool journey. I just couldn't wait till Joe would get home on Friday night. And Joe was a great dad. He still interacted with the kids all the time, but it's hard. So how do you, just for moms out there who face the same thing with their spouses, what do you do to make life easier when Mike is on the road?
I plan simple dinners. And it's not like cereal night. It's not that kind of simple. But one of my kids' favorite dinners is something that my mom used to make on our busy nights. And it was basically it's ground beef, refried beans, and black beans, and you eat it with tortilla chips.
So my
And my kids think it's this huge treat. They're like, "Yay!" So it's like a daddy's gone dinner. I also make a lot of soup. And if
Mhm.
he's gone for a week at a time, I'll make like a big dish of something and we'll have leftovers. Or I'll make two big meals and then we have leftovers and I alternate throughout the week. So that's one of the big ones.
And I know that Mike is really intentional about being home for birthdays and those things that can't be rescheduled or.
As best he can. Our son happened to be born during his um, fall meetings that fall the same week every year.
Oh no.
So he can only make the actual birthday to be there if the way the week falls. So he's been here a few times. He was there for the birth. He was like, I can't make it. My baby's gonna be born.
Yeah.
So but we do celebrate. And again, this year, our youngest daughter's birthday is next Saturday. And we're celebrating tonight because I'm going to be at CHAP, which is the Pennsylvania Homeschool Convention.
Okay.
I'm going to be there on Saturday. And I was like, sorry, I'll be home late. I'll get home for dessert. We can have cake, open your presents, but I'm not going to be there all day. So we're celebrating tonight
Oh, that's
because,
fun. Here again, that is just one of the beauties of homeschooling is the flexibility it allows you to have as a family. You can celebrate birthdays on the day. You can celebrate them a week early, a week late, and make it a special celebration. You can just flex with whatever you need to do to meet your family's needs.
yeah, I mean, one of the other things we tend to do if they have their birthday on a school day, because all four of my kids are the two older girls are born in August, but we start school sometimes in July. So if their birthday falls on a school day, we're like, hey, no school. Dad's gonna take you off for a fun this. He always tries to take them out for breakfast for their birthday, so they get off school. It's
Yeah,
not,
that's fun. All those traditions are so much fun.
yeah.
One other thing, I just see Mike on Facebook a lot, and he's always working on DIY projects with your kids. It's so fascinating to watch, and I mean that's a different education in and of itself.
Absolutely. So he is a very big DIY. He's not content to just sit and relax. His way of relaxing is getting projects done, which is fantastic. And they don't just turn into Mike and kids projects. Like I get involved in a lot of them,
Oh, that's
um,
great.
because sometimes he needs extra hands.
Yes.
And so yeah, like was it last summer? Maybe 2 summers ago, we built a shed on the side of our house, and I ended up helping in roofing. And he has a picture of me up on the roof putting the shingles down because that's how it worked. But yeah, our second daughter Callie is really into woodworking right now. Like
Uh-huh.
she loves to help build stuff, and he's trying to get the younger ones more involved, teach them. Our older daughter, he recently taught how to use, I think it was a jigsaw. Like he's
Oh,
just like,
wow.
hey,
Yeah.
so learn how to use tools. Be productive people. So that's one of the things we try to teach them.
I know another thing you have been great at is really trying to teach your kids how to be an entrepreneur from
Absolutely.
early ages. So tell us a little bit about. I know you've got a pie baker and all kinds of interesting things.
So I started a violin studio where I taught violin when I was 14. And I had that up until after I had our first daughter, Emma. Um,
Really,
I did, yes. I had 25 students at one point. I was working like 3 days a week teaching violin. It was fantastic. I loved teaching violin.
that's amazing.
Um, so I had my own little studio, and after I had kids, I started a sewing business that I did for a while until I had more children and could no longer have the time to sew without it being a disaster.
Right.
Mike had his own company for years. He started in high school with his first company. He had a web design company for a while. So for both of us, it's important that you can control some part of what you're doing. Even if you have a job, you can
Mhm.
always have that your own business to fall back on to bring in extra income. So we're just trying to teach our kids that if you have something you like, see if there's a way to monetize it. See if there's a way to make it productive for you and not just a hobby that for you to enjoy. Um, so yes, our daughter Callie started a pie baking business a couple years ago, and she has sold, I forget how many pies she sold at this point, but she hit over $1,000 in sales, and she sold to a local diner. She had several.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So, and our older daughter, she is doing babysitting. She enjoys babysitting, so she's going to be working as a nanny this summer.
Oh,
And
well, those are such important life lessons, and it's such an important part of what we do in our homes.
yes,
Because you are teaching them life skills through the baking, and I think y'all have raised rabbits at some point, and
yes, we
you
still have rabbits.
and all the do it yourself projects, all the things they learn in addition to their schoolwork. It just makes homeschooling such a robust way to live.
They have so many outside activities and outside interests aside from school. And one of the things that I find important is that none of them are flavored by what their friends are doing. Um,
Interesting.
they don't have interests based on what their friends' interests are. They have interests based on what they enjoy. And same with
Oh,
like
that's
how
powerful.
they dress. They dress. I mean, obviously we have some input on what they're wearing, but they're
Right.
not dressing to impress their friends. They're dressing in what they enjoy wearing.
Oh,
So
boy.
they don't have to worry about it, like
That
peer pressure wise.
yeah,
So
that's really powerful. I mean, that is powerful stuff. So, in keeping with monetizing the things that you love most, I want you to tell us a little bit about what you do, Abbie, as a side job.
I am a Homeworks by Precept consultant. I spend my entire year assisting homeschoolers with questions about homeschooling, and I also am able to offer discounts on BJU Press Homeschool curriculum. There's a team of BJU Press Homeschool by it's Homeworks by Precept. We represent BJU Press Homeschool curriculum, and there's a whole team of us across the nation, and we are always holding events that you can come get your hands on the books. Most of the events are free. Conventions are not free, but that's a whole other ball
Right.
game there. But we have homeworks events and curriculum displays across the nation where you can meet up with a homeschool mom or a veteran homeschool mom, and they can share their experience with you. They can share their stories. They can share input on what works, what doesn't work. Maybe if you're struggling with some of your children with learning methods, they can help you with that, and you can get your hands on the curriculum, and we're here all year round for support.
Yeah, I will tell you, BJU Press Homeschool is the sponsor of the Zan Tyler podcast, and I have been amazed at this army of homeschool mom consultants, maybe 200 strong across the nation. I think it's one of the homeschool world's best kept secrets in some ways, because I have watched you and I have watched these other homeschool moms who are the homeworks consultants pray. I mean, they tell me about getting calls at midnight and praying with their families and giving them prayer support and homeschooling support, in addition to helping them learn how to use the BJU Press homeschool curriculum. I mean, it that is amazing. So, Abbie, I can't believe it. Our time has gone by so fast.
Oh my
How
goodness.
can people get in touch with you, and how can they find a consultant if they need help?
You can find a consultant. It's a website. It's homeschoolhelp.com/map. I am on the map in Pennsylvania. My email address is on there, and I have a website on the map, as do all the other consultants. So you can contact any of the ones local to you. If you don't find one local to you, we all have our homeschool stories on our pages. So find one that you connect with. It if their story really resonates with you, contact them. They are here to help you. Like, that's what we're
Okay.
here for.
So that website again is homeschoolhelp.com forward
Forward
slash
slash map.
map. And then you just click on the map, and the map will show events and consultants, correct?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
you there's an option to put your zip code in. And if you can't find one within a certain radius of you, just start clicking dots.
Oh, okay. That's fabulous. Well, Abbie, thank you so much for being here with us today. You have shared so much wisdom that I know is going to benefit many moms and dads out there listening. We sure do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It was my pleasure.
Thanks again for joining Abbie and me today. Abbie is a homeschooling mom just like you and is still right in the thick of things. So I hope this has been an encouraging conversation. If you want more information about today's podcast, please visit me at zantyler.com. Until next time, bye.